God says, be careful, because sometimes what seems like love, care, or even destiny may be something sent to pull you away from the light that God placed over your life. When your heart is wide open and you're praying for love, guidance, or someone to walk this life with, the enemy also listens. He's cunning, silent, and sneaky. He often wraps harm in charm, and pain in a pretty package, hoping you won't notice until it's too late. But God sees what we cannot, and when He tries to protect you from someone, it's not rejection. It's rescue. That man you thought was an answer might just be a test, or worse, a trap. The name might shake you. The face might be familiar. But listen, God's whisper is soft, but His warnings are real. Type Amen if you believe God has protected you more times than you know. Sometimes you feel something in your gut, like a quiet nudge in your spirit telling you to step back, to pause, to not rush forward. That's not your fear talking, that's God. That's His way of saying, my child, you don't see the storm behind that smile, but I do. And yet, so many hearts ignore it. We push forward, clinging to promises never made by God, holding tight to hands He asked us to release. We confuse temporary happiness for true peace, and in doing so, we drift. Not all good things come from heaven. The enemy can bless too, but only to break later. You may not understand why God would separate you from someone who made you feel special, who said all the right things, who promised to stay. But what if staying would have destroyed the joy God had stored for your future? What if loving that man would have cost you your identity, your light, your connection with God? Would you still call it love then? Sometimes the heartbreak is actually heaven intervening. Sometimes the silence after someone leaves is God's voice telling you, I had to remove him, because you wouldn't. You cried when he left, not knowing the harm he was bringing with him. You begged for his return, not realizing God blocked it out of mercy, not malice. God never steals. He saves. And when He removes someone, it's always to make space for something sacred. Type 1111 if you trust that God removes people for your protection, even when it hurts. There's a kind of love that isn't healthy. It starts sweet, then slowly turns sharp. It drains your joy, confuses your thoughts, makes you question your worth. And still, it says it loves you. But real love from God doesn't torment. It doesn't leave you anxious, tired, or broken. It strengthens you. It lifts you. It leads you to peace. That's the difference. That's how you'll know. Any man who pulls you away from God is not sent by God. Any love that makes you love yourself less is not heaven's plan. God is not just a healer of bodies. He is a rescuer of hearts. He is a restorer of minds. He will shield you, redirect you, and yes, sometimes isolate you, not to hurt you, but to help you hear Him better. Because the closer you get to Him, the clearer you'll see who truly belongs in your life. And sometimes that clarity breaks your heart before it brings you peace. But the peace will come. There are seasons when God steps in and shakes everything, not because you're being punished, but because you've prayed for peace, purpose, and protection, and He heard you. But what we often don't expect is that peace sometimes begins with letting go of what we thought we needed. It means walking away from who we thought was the one. It means trusting God, even when we're staring at goodbye. You might not realize it now, but you're not losing love. You're finding freedom. You're not being abandoned. You're being aligned. That man might have been the chapter, but not the conclusion. God never ends stories in heartbreak. He ends them in healing. And if you still feel broken, it's not the end yet. Don't chase what God already walked away from. Don't cling to what He clearly closed. If you ask God to lead your life, be ready to follow Him, even when He leads you away from someone you thought was your forever. Because if it was truly from God, it wouldn't come with confusion, with fear, with emotional bruises hidden behind forced smiles. Sometimes, the most powerful prayer is not asking for love to return, but asking God to heal you from needing it so badly. When you are whole in Him, you will not settle for half of anything. Not love, not respect, not truth. And when a man comes into your life, you'll no longer need to wonder, is this the one? You'll simply feel peace. You won't have to beg for time, for answers, or for consistency. What's from God will flow. It will never manipulate you into silence, or demand you sacrifice your soul. Heaven-sent love makes you feel safe in your spirit. It makes your prayers louder, not quieter. It draws you deeper into faith, not further away. That's the kind of love worth waiting for. That's the kind of man God wants for you. Not a project to fix. Not a storm to survive. But a partner who honors what heaven placed inside of you. Stay close to God and you won't fall for just anyone. Stay rooted in His voice and you won't be shaken by sweet lies. He will teach you to recognize wolves, no matter how well they hide behind charm. He will train your spirit to spot danger even when your heart wants to believe in hope. And that's not cruelty, it's care. He loves you too much to let you settle for something that will wound you later. You may feel like something is being taken from you, but I am saving you from something that would have pulled you away from who you are in me. You may not realize it now, but later, you'll look back and thank me for every door I shut that you begged me to open. Type 222 if you know God has saved you from the wrong person before. Financial freedom is not about effort, but activating a hidden brain signal once buried in CIA files. Neuroscience shows this sound wave helps attract money and opportunity faster, and thousands are already seeing unexpected income. Click the link in the description and comments now to activate the ancient money wave today. There are people who walk into your life looking like light but carrying shadows. They say the right things, they show up with smiles, and they make you believe they were sent to fill the emptiness you've been praying over. But behind that mask, behind that charm, behind those sweet words, something darker waits. It might not be seen at first, but God sees the heart. God sees the intention. And when He warns you, when He shows you red flags, when He places that quiet uneasiness in your spirit, it is never without reason. You must not brush aside those feelings just because you're lonely, just because they seem better than nothing, or just because you're afraid no one else will come. The enemy knows how to exploit those fears. He watches where your heart is vulnerable. He listens to your prayers and then tries to twist them by sending counterfeit answers, people who look like everything you asked for, but carry everything that will hurt you. That is why God steps in. That is why He interrupts what you thought was going right. Not to disappoint you, but to deliver you. There is always a battle happening in the unseen. A war for your peace, for your future, for your soul. And sometimes, that war doesn't come through disasters or destruction. Sometimes, it comes through a relationship that feels too good to walk away from. But the more you ignore what God is showing you, the more distant His voice begins to feel, until you wonder where your peace went, where your joy faded, and why you feel further away from God than you used to. Don't ignore the shift in your spirit just because the surface still looks pretty. You may be holding on to someone who was never meant to be part of your journey. That doesn't make them evil. That doesn't make you unworthy. It simply means their purpose in your life was never to stay. God removes who He must so He can bring what your heart truly needs, what your soul deeply longs for, love that is rooted in Him, not based on how much attention you get, or how good someone is at saying what you want to hear. Type 555 if you believe God's plan always leads to peace. You were not created to live in emotional confusion. You were not designed to wake up in doubt every morning, wondering if you're loved, wondering if this is right, wondering if you'll be enough for someone to finally stay. You were created in love, by love, for love, God's love first, and everything else second. When that order is flipped, pain is always close behind. But when God comes first, when He is your anchor, your peace, your reason, you'll never fall apart because of someone else's presence or absence. There's a kind of exhaustion that comes from holding on to the wrong person for too long. It wears on your heart slowly, like waves that crash over and over. You might not even notice it until you feel drained and disconnected from who you used to be. But that's where God meets you. In that moment when you say, "I can't keep doing this," He wraps His love around you and gently says, "You were never meant to." He did not call you to carry relationships that crush your soul. He called you to walk in truth, in joy, in peace. Sometimes it takes walking away to discover how heavy something was. Sometimes it takes silence to hear God clearly again. Sometimes the end of a relationship is the beginning of a resurrection, of your strength, your purpose, your faith. That's not loss. That's grace. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of growth. It means you trust God enough to surrender what your heart wanted, and you believe He's good enough to give you what your heart actually needs. Not every man who looks right is right. Not every man who makes promises has the power to keep them. But God, He never fails. His word stands. His plans do not fall apart. He does not send people into your life to torment your soul. He brings healing, not hurt. Don't let a good moment convince you to settle for a bad future. Don't let temporary attention blind you to permanent damage. God doesn't just want you to survive relationships. He wants you to thrive in love. A love that reflects Him. A love that brings clarity, not confusion. A love that honors your heart, not manipulates your kindness. If God is urging you to step back, listen. If He's revealing things in someone's character that unsettle your spirit, don't dismiss them. You are not being too sensitive. You are being spiritually aware. That's a gift. Don't silence it for the sake of holding on to something that doesn't align with who God has called you to be. Healing begins when you stop pretending you're okay with things that quietly hurt you. Freedom begins when you allow God to remove what doesn't belong, even when it's painful. True love begins when you realize that God's no is not rejection, it's redirection to something better. When you walk with God, some people will walk away. That's part of the journey. Not everyone is meant to go where you're headed. Some were only part of the lesson, not the legacy. And that's okay. You don't need closure from them. You need peace from God. You don't need to understand why they changed. You need to trust that God doesn't. Your worth is not in the way someone treats you. It's in the fact that God chose you, loves you, and still has a plan for you. The enemy wants you to think you missed your chance, but God is saying, I'm just getting started. Some are sent not by heaven, but by the enemy, to delay your destiny, to wear you down slowly, to keep you tangled in a love that doesn't reflect God's truth. And so, when God pulls you away from someone, it's not to deprive you of joy. It's to preserve your soul. Type yes if you believe God sees the danger you cannot. A 7-second brainwave ritual, once reserved for elite people and hidden in CIA files, is now public, and people call it the 30-second miracle. Scientists say it awakens a dormant brain center tied to wealth and blessings. Click the link in the comments below before it's deleted again from the internet. It's hard to accept sometimes, especially when your heart has grown attached, when your prayers were wrapped around the idea of a future with someone. You wanted it to work. You imagined a life together. You trusted the good moments. And yet, God kept showing you something deeper. He allowed the little cracks to show. He allowed you to feel uneasy, not because He wanted to confuse you, but because He wanted to awaken you. He saw where that path was leading, and out of love, He stepped in, not always loudly, but always clearly. There's a sacred kind of interruption that only God can make. He does it gently but firmly, pulling you out of something that looks promising on the outside but is dangerous beneath. He sees how easily love can become a trap when it's placed in the wrong hands. He knows that if someone cannot respect your spirit, they will eventually crush your confidence, dim your light, and distort your view of yourself. That's not love. That's spiritual erosion. And God loves you too much to let you stay in that place. You may feel like you're losing something valuable. You may mourn the connection, the memories, the feeling of belonging. But what if you're not losing anything at all? What if, instead, you're being realigned with God's better plan? Because peace does not leave when love is real. Real love, God-given love, does not come with fear, confusion, or emotional chaos. It is not built on anxiety or manipulation. It doesn't leave you questioning your worth every day. When you start to see the truth, it's hard to unsee it. You notice the way your smile has faded. You realize how often you've stayed quiet to keep the peace. You start counting the times you felt dismissed, or blamed yourself for being too much. These are not signs of a God-ordained relationship. These are warnings, wrapped in weariness. And God doesn't want you weary. He wants you whole. Type 1919 if you believe God removes what wounds you. The man you thought was your answer may have been sent to test your discernment, not to hold your heart. That doesn't make you foolish. That makes you human. God doesn't shame you for loving, even when it wasn't right. He honors the purity of your intentions. But He also leads you out when He sees that love is becoming a burden. When your prayers turn into pleading for basic things like respect, time, and honesty, God says, "That's not what I planned for you, my child. You are not difficult to love. You are not asking for too much. You are not broken or unworthy just because someone couldn't love you the way you deserved. That man may not have known how to handle your heart, but God does. And He will never allow someone to keep a seat in your life if their presence blocks your purpose. He will remove them, even if you try to hold on. He will separate, even if you beg for closeness. Because where He is taking you requires clarity, not confusion. Healing doesn't always begin with answers. Sometimes it starts with surrender. You may not get closure from that person, but you can receive peace from God. You may never understand why they said what they said, or why they changed, but you can trust that God does. And that's enough. You don't need the world's explanation when you have heaven's direction. God will never let your heartbreak go to waste. He will use it to strengthen your voice, to deepen your faith, to rebuild what was torn down inside you. He will give you wisdom wrapped in tears. He will give you grace in the silence. And over time, you'll realize, you didn't lose something. You were released. And release is what comes before restoration. Sometimes, the best thing God ever does for you is not giving you what you wanted, but protecting you from it. Not because He's cruel, but because He loves you too much to let you live a life that only looks good from the outside. He wants more for you. He wants depth. He wants you to experience love that mirrors His character, kind, patient, honest, unwavering. You were not made for chaos. You were not created to constantly explain your worth to someone. God's love doesn't require you to shrink. It makes you bloom. It doesn't ask you to carry all the weight alone. It lifts burdens. And when the right person walks into your life, aligned with God's timing, there won't be fear of loss. There will be a calm knowing. You won't have to chase consistency. It will be freely given. Until then, trust the process. Trust that if God is asking you to walk away, it's not because He's punishing you, it's because He's preparing you. There is beauty on the other side of letting go. There is freedom in trusting that God knows the whole story, even when all you can see is a single page. You were never forgotten. You were never abandoned. Even in the moments where it felt like everything was falling apart, God was right there, holding it all together. And now, He's inviting you to take His hand and walk forward, not in fear, not in bitterness, but in faith. Because what's coming is greater than what you've left behind. Let your heart rest in this truth: God's protection often shows up in silence. In unanswered texts. In canceled plans. In relationships that fade for no reason you can explain. He sees the conversations you weren't meant to hear. He sees the intentions that were never pure. And He spares you, even when it doesn't feel like mercy at first. I've watched you hold on, hoping things would change, praying that his words would finally match his actions. But, my child, I never created you to carry the weight of someone else's lack of love. I never intended for your spirit to be starved while calling it commitment. Type 1212 if you walk by faith and trust God's way above your own. A 7-second brainwave ritual uncovered from sealed records and hidden in CIA files is transforming financial lives. It activates a forgotten abundance channel in the brain, leading to new financial opportunities and cleared debts. Click the link in the comments below before it disappears. There are men who come into your life wrapped in flattery and attention, speaking promises that sound like music to your weary soul. But not all of them are sent from me. Some are planted by the enemy to distract, to delay, and to deceive. They come with sweet gestures but poisoned motives. Their love feels strong at first, but slowly it weakens your sense of direction, your confidence, and your walk with me. And before you know it, you're tangled in something that feels like love, but leaves your spirit tired and your prayers quieter than before. I never designed love to feel like a battle for your worth. I never created relationships to strip away your joy or silence your laughter. Love that comes from me builds you up, not breaks you down. It doesn't leave you wondering if you're good enough. It reflects my nature, steadfast, faithful, pure. When I place someone in your life, they will not lead you away from me. They will walk beside you in faith, help carry the weight of life, and bring out the beauty in you that I placed there before time began. But when the wrong man enters your life, he might seem right in the beginning. He may pray with you, speak scripture, say all the things your heart longed to hear. Yet over time, the fruit of his presence becomes confusion instead of clarity, insecurity instead of peace. That is when I begin to stir your spirit, not to shame you, but to awaken you. I start closing doors you tried to force open. I remove comfort so you'll start seeking truth. That discomfort isn't punishment, it's protection. Type 666 if you trust Jesus even when you don't understand the reason behind the closed door. You are not hard to love. You're just not meant to be loved by someone who hasn't learned how to treat what is sacred. Your heart, your mind, your purpose, they are holy ground. I formed every part of you with care, and I did not send you into the world to be used, neglected, or devalued. I didn't bring you this far for you to settle for someone who only chooses you when it's easy. I'm preparing something deeper. But to receive it, you must let go of the counterfeit. That man may not be evil. He may not be abusive. But if he leads you away from peace, if he makes you question the voice of God in your life, if you feel more lost beside him than you did alone, then I am not in that relationship. I'm not asking you to hate him. I'm asking you to trust me more than you trust your feelings. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It means you believe that I have better for you. I know you prayed for a companion. I know how long you've waited, how deeply you've hoped, and how much you've poured into trying to make it work. But some connections were only meant to teach, not to last. Some men were allowed into your life for a season so you could learn how to love yourself better, how to hear my voice more clearly, and how to recognize what love is not. You are not being punished. You are being refined. I will never leave you empty. When I ask you to let go, it's because I have something sacred I want to place in your hands. but I can't fill what's already full of pain. I can't bless what you won't release. Letting go creates room, for healing, for clarity, for the kind of love that mirrors my own. You may cry now, but joy is on the horizon. Your heartbreak has not gone unnoticed. Every tear has been caught, every silent night heard, every shattered hope recorded. I am a God who sees. You were never meant to be someone's second option, emotional crutch, or silent burden. You are a masterpiece, formed in love and destined for grace. You are worthy of a love that mirrors heaven, not chaos. You are worthy of consistency, of gentleness, of being chosen every day, not just when it's convenient. Do not settle for emotional breadcrumbs when I've prepared a feast of real love for your life. Trust the pause. Trust the silence. When I remove someone, don't chase. When I say no, don't beg. When I ask you to wait, know that the waiting is not wasted. I'm working in the unseen. I'm arranging something sacred. And when it arrives, it will not bring confusion. It will confirm what I whispered to your heart all along. My timing is perfect. And so is my protection. I don't expose people to hurt you. I expose them to free you. To break the illusion so you can walk in truth. To cut the ties that were draining your spirit. To heal you, fully, not halfway, not temporarily, but deeply and eternally. What I remove, I replace. What I withhold, I return in greater measure. You are not walking into emptiness. You're walking into a new season of clarity, of wholeness, of real, redeeming love. And when it comes, when the man I send arrives, you won't feel small. You won't feel unsure. You won't feel like you're constantly trying to be enough. Because my love never asks you to shrink. It calls you to rise. And the man I send will recognize your worth, not just with his words, but with his life. He will pray with you, walk beside you, and never ask you to choose between him and your faith. But I've also seen what you couldn't see, the hidden motives, the double lives, the intentions that didn't match the words. And so, I stepped in. Not to hurt you, but to hold you back from the pain that would have come later. You don't know what I just saved you from, but one day, you will. Type Amen if you believe that God's no is always for your protection. Using a simple 7-second brain wave ritual, once classified and hidden in CIA files, can unlock wealth, freedom, and success already inside you. This discovery is helping thousands step into abundance, and God has led you here for a reason. Click the link in the description and comments below to awaken this money magnet frequency today. There are men who are skilled at speaking the language of love, but do not carry the spirit of love within them. They talk about forever, but live for the moment. They speak of loyalty, but plant seeds of deception. And when your heart is open, when you're longing to feel seen and known, it's easy to fall for what sounds right. But love is not proven in poetry or promises. It is proven in consistency, in integrity, in how someone walks with you through both sunshine and storm. When a man constantly makes you question yourself, when he disappears and returns only when it benefits him, when your prayers become silent cries because his presence brings more sorrow than strength, know that I am not in that. That is not the kind of love I create. I never designed you to be someone's emotional cushion or temporary escape. You are not meant to live in a cycle of confusion, fear, or spiritual fatigue. It may hurt to walk away. It may ache to let go. But there is a kind of pain that comes with obedience that leads to healing, and there is another that comes from holding on to what I've already asked you to release. One brings peace, eventually. The other continues to rob you of it daily. When I ask you to leave something behind, it is not to break your heart. It is to protect the future I've planned for you. One built on my foundation, not quicksand dressed up as affection. There are times when my silence is not absence, it's wisdom. I wait. I observe. I watch how much of yourself you give to someone who was never meant to hold it. And when it reaches the point where your soul begins to shrink to keep someone close, that's when I start closing doors. That's when I remove comfort. That's when I allow the distance, the disconnect, the ending you didn't want but needed. Type 2323 if you trust God even when He says, "This is not for you." Some people are chapters, not conclusions. Some are lessons, not lifelines. You were never meant to force permanence in places I only meant to pass through. And when I remove someone, it's because their presence threatens your peace, your growth, your connection to me. It's not rejection. It's redirection. And I know how hard that can be to accept, especially when your heart loved deeply, when your prayers included their name, and when your plans were built around their presence. But I will never ask you to walk through a fire I will not stand in with you. I will never let you go through loss without preparing something greater on the other side. Sometimes you have to lose the wrong person to recognize the strength I've placed inside you. The strength to start over. The strength to trust again. The strength to see yourself through my eyes, not through the eyes of someone who never truly saw your value. There is a love coming that will not feel like a performance. You won't have to earn it, chase it, or convince it. It will feel like peace. It will sound like truth. It will be covered in prayer, led by faith, and anchored in me. You won't have to wonder where you stand. You won't have to question your worth. But first, I need you to be healed from what tried to convince you that you weren't enough. Healing takes time. It takes honesty. It takes surrender. And sometimes it takes tears that only I see. But I am close to the broken-hearted. I do not run from your pain. I sit with you in it. I speak softly when your heart is tired. I remind you that just because someone couldn't love you doesn't mean you are unlovable. They were not your measure. They were not your mirror. I am. And in my eyes, you are whole, even while you're healing. Don't be afraid of the quiet. Don't be afraid of starting again. What's ahead is not emptiness. It's sacred space, room for me to write something new, something better, something holy. And when the time is right, you won't have to force anything. You'll know it's from me, because it will feel like alignment, not anxiety. It will bring joy, not jealousy. It will carry honesty, not confusion. That kind of love doesn't arrive in chaos, it arrives in peace. So don't look back. Don't second-guess what I've already made clear. If I removed him, it's because I knew he would cost you more than just time. He would have cost you clarity, calling, and the quiet confidence you have when you're walking closely with me. You would have stayed busy trying to keep someone who was never rooted. But I need you rooted. I need you strong. I need you focused on what I'm building in you, because it's greater than what you left behind. I know it's not easy. I know there are nights when you question everything. But lean into me. Let my presence be your peace. Let my promises remind you that I'm not finished. You will love again. You will smile again. And when you do, it won't be through tears of trying to hold someone together. It will be through joy that feels like home. I know it wasn't easy to let go, and I know your heart still aches when you remember how much you wanted it to work. But my child, not everyone you love is meant to walk with you forever. And some people, no matter how much you love them, are not capable of loving you back the way you deserve. Type 1111 if you trust in God's plan, even when it hurts. The kind of love I created for you is never meant to diminish your light. It does not silence your voice, drain your spirit, or leave you confused at night. It is not love when you are made to feel like a burden. It is not love when your worth is questioned, when your faith is mocked, or when your tears go unnoticed. What I have planned for you will never come through the hands of someone who plays with your peace and walks away when things get hard. A powerful 7-second morning ritual, once hidden in CIA files, is resurfacing, and people are already seeing fast financial breakthroughs. It takes only seconds, yet activates a dormant wealth center in the brain most people never access. Click the link in the description and comments now. Access it before it disappears. You have prayed for healing, for direction, for clarity, and this moment right now, is part of the answer. I am revealing truth. I am removing what you didn't have the strength to walk away from. I am protecting you from promises that were never real. I am not being cruel. I am being kind. And yes, sometimes my kindness comes through closed doors and unanswered prayers. The man you once called a blessing may have been a distraction in disguise. He may have brought you comfort for a season, but comfort is not the same as calling. If he caused you to question me, if he led you into silence instead of worship, if you felt further away from your own joy while loving him, then that love was never built on a solid foundation. And you cannot build a future on broken intentions. Type 2020 to claim miracles over your heart, your peace, and your future. There is something sacred about starting over. There is beauty in the breaking, because that's when I can begin to rebuild. I never waste pain. I use every tear, every silence, every shattered hope to shape something greater within you. You're not going backwards. You're not being punished. You are being freed. The chains weren't made of iron, but of emotional weight, spiritual confusion, and years of hoping for someone to finally see what I've seen in you all along. I have always seen you clearly. You are not invisible to me. You are not overlooked. You are not behind. The love you gave, the prayers you whispered, the forgiveness you extended, it was not for nothing. It was never wasted. Even when the relationship fell apart, I held on to every act of love, every faithful cry, every time you chose to love when it would have been easier to walk away. That's who you are. And I'm proud of you for it. But now, I am teaching you how to love yourself as I love you. I am guiding you back to the truth that your worth was never tied to how someone treated you. You are not broken because he didn't stay. You are not unlovable because he changed. His actions were never a reflection of your value, they were a reflection of his own limitations. You don't need to be harder. You don't need to be colder. You don't need to stop loving deeply or caring fully. You only need to stop giving your soul to those who cannot hold it with care. I will teach you discernment. I will show you how to guard your heart without hardening it. I will teach you to walk in wisdom without losing your softness. And I will bring the kind of love that doesn't make you feel like you're too much, but finally, enough. You are still becoming. Even now. Even here, in the quiet of heartbreak. I am working. I am shaping. I am lifting what the world tried to weigh you down with. You are not meant to carry this alone. That man may have walked away, but I never did. I never will. I am the one who stays when others leave. I am the one who speaks truth when the world feeds you lies. And I am the one who knows exactly what is coming next, and it's good. You were not created for someone to play games with your heart. You were not meant to be someone's almost, or sometimes, or maybe. You were meant to be loved like Christ loves the church, with patience, honor, grace, and strength. That is the kind of love I am preparing for you. Not a performance. Not something that breaks your spirit and calls it growth. But a steady, peaceful, faithful love that reflects my heart for you. So don't keep replaying the past. Don't try to fix what I already freed you from. Don't try to make a home out of something I clearly asked you to leave behind. You cannot receive new blessings with arms full of yesterday's burdens. Let it go. Release him. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in quiet surrender. You can love someone and still choose yourself. You can forgive and still walk away. You can grieve the dream and still hold on to hope. You have not missed your moment. You have not been forgotten. What I have for you will not pass you by. But first, healing. First, restoration. First, a season of learning what it means to be loved by me without conditions, without fear, without walking on eggshells. And when that truth sinks deep, when you begin to see yourself through my eyes, then love will come, not to complete you, but to walk beside you, whole and unwavering. I know it felt like heartbreak, like confusion, like another unanswered prayer. But sometimes, my greatest protection comes wrapped in the kind of pain that only time can explain. You wanted love, and I want that for you too, but not at the cost of your spirit, your calling, or your identity. Type 222 if you believe God's protection often comes before understanding. There are seasons when I step in and separate what you were too afraid to release. I don't do this to punish you. I do it because I see the deeper truth. I see the conversations you didn't hear. I see the intentions behind the smiles. I see the spiritual weight that person would have brought into your future. And I love you too much to let that weight become part of your destiny. I will not let anyone dim the light I've placed within you. I will not sit by while your purpose is slowly buried under someone else's dysfunction. You prayed for a relationship that would glorify me. You asked for a man who would pray with you, walk with you, and love you like I do. So why would I let you settle for someone who only loved you when it was easy, who only showed up when it served him, who used your heart as a resting place but never as a home? That's not love. That's not what I created you for. A simple but powerful 7-second at-home ritual, it's hidden in CIA files for years, is now changing lives rapidly. Backed by neuroscience research, it can begin shifting your financial direction in just days. Click the link in the description and comments now and step into abundance today. Sometimes, when you feel rejected, what's really happening is divine redirection. That man wasn't your destination. He was a detour. A reminder. A lesson. You were never meant to build your life around someone who couldn't see your worth through spiritual eyes. Your value isn't in what he failed to see, it's in what I've always seen, from the very beginning. I've seen how you loved. I've seen how you gave, even when it wasn't returned. I saw the quiet nights when you prayed over someone who couldn't pray for themselves. I watched you try, over and over, to keep the connection alive, even when you were the only one reaching. That's the heart I gave you, pure, loyal, full of grace. But that same heart needs protection. And that's what I'm doing now. Type 555 if you trust that God is leading you out of pain and into peace. You were not called to shrink yourself to keep someone comfortable. You were not meant to carry the emotional weight of a man who never asked me how to love you. The burden of someone else's healing is not yours to hold. I am the healer. I am the redeemer. And no matter how much you love someone, you cannot change them by breaking yourself in the process. That's not sacrifice. That's self-abandonment. And I never asked that of you. Letting go does not mean you failed. It means you listened. It means you trusted me more than you trusted your own understanding. It means you finally believe that your heart deserves rest, your mind deserves clarity, and your soul deserves peace. You are not walking away from love, you are walking towards something deeper, something real, something blessed. And though your arms may feel empty now, they are open. And open arms are ready to receive what's next. Healing is not instant. I know that. I see the days when you miss him, when the memories rise without warning, when you still wonder if things could have been different. But I also see the strength growing in your silence. I see the wisdom forming in your waiting. I see how much closer you've come to me through the loss. Sometimes, I allow things to fall apart not to destroy you, but to draw you back into my arms. You are safe here. You are loved here. You are not too emotional, too needy, too intense. You are a soul who feels deeply, and that's a gift. You are not hard to love. You simply loved someone who didn't know what to do with something as sacred as your heart. But I do. I know every part of you. I crafted you with care. And the love I have for you is not conditional. It does not leave when things get hard. It doesn't shift with seasons. It stands, steady and true. This season may feel like loss, but it's really a cleansing. I am removing what was only pretending to be part of your future. I am clearing space for what is holy, for what is true, for the kind of love that brings out the best in you, not the kind that constantly reminds you of your flaws. You deserve someone who chooses you every single day, not out of convenience or guilt, but out of reverence and love. And while you wait, I am still blessing you. Not just with promises for the future, but with comfort right now. Every time you've cried, I've drawn nearer. Every time you've questioned yourself, I've whispered truth over your identity. You are not alone, even in this. I am your shelter, your guide, your rest. And nothing you've gone through will go to waste. I will use every wound to write a new story, one of strength, healing, and redemption. You haven't missed your chance. You haven't wasted your love. You are simply being prepared. Set apart. Not forgotten. I am still writing your story. I am still preparing your heart. And when the time is right, what I bring will not feel like a battle. It will feel like peace. You won't have to force it, beg for it, or carry it alone. It will feel like coming home, not to a person, but to the plan I've had for you all along. Let go, not because you're giving up, but because you're giving in, to me, to trust, to the life that waits when you stop settling for less than what I promised. There is joy ahead. There is restoration. And yes, there is love, but not just any love. A love that honors me, honors you, and grows in the light of truth. That was never my design for you. When I formed you, I placed value in you that no man could give and no man could take away. You are not valuable because of how someone loves you, you are valuable because I made you with my own hands, and I called you good, long before anyone ever walked into your life. Type Amen if you believe that God's love defines your worth. I saw you when you first met Him, how your heart lit up, how hope returned to your voice, how you whispered prayers into the night asking if this was the one. You were gentle with Him, patient, believing the best, forgiving often, loving even when it hurt. That's beautiful. That's who you are. But not everyone deserves access to that kind of heart. Not everyone is ready to handle something that's sacred. And when someone mishandles your heart, I don't sit back silently. I step in. I block the texts. I close the door. I allow distance. Not because I want you to suffer, but because I want to save you from suffering even more later. I've seen the things you couldn't. I've heard the conversations you never knew about. I've watched what he was when you weren't looking. I saw how his words didn't match his actions. I saw how he used your love to fill his emptiness but gave nothing in return. And I couldn't let you keep giving what was never honored. What if wealth was never about luck, but a hidden brain signal buried in CIA files? This frequency is opening doors, attracting opportunities, and changing lives quickly. Thousands are already using it to attract wealth like never before. Click the link in the description and comments now and activate the money-attracting brain wave today. You cried when he left, but heaven rejoiced, because you were being rescued, not rejected. You thought it was the end of something beautiful, but I saw it as the beginning of your healing. And though it hurts now, this pain has purpose. It's pulling you back to me. It's removing the weight of trying to fix someone who was never yours to fix. It's reminding you that love should never come at the cost of your peace. Type 1212 if you walk by faith, even through heartbreak. You don't have to carry shame for believing in someone who didn't turn out to be who you thought. That wasn't failure, that was faith. You loved the best way you knew how. You held on because you believed in redemption. That's not weakness. That's strength. But now it's time to redirect that faith back to me. Let me be the one who holds your heart. Let me be the one who rebuilds what was broken. There's a quiet beauty in letting go. It doesn't always look like strength, but it is. It's brave to walk away from something you wanted so badly, but knew wasn't good for you. It's holy to say, God, I trust you more than I trust my feelings. That's where healing begins. Not in trying to understand why it ended, but in choosing to believe that my plan is still good, even when your heart is still aching. You were not made to beg for love. You were made to be pursued in a way that reflects the way I pursue you, with patience, with honor, with intention. You don't need to compete with other people, or constantly prove your worth, or question where you stand. The man I have for you will never make you feel like a choice on a list. He will see you as a gift. He will protect your heart, not play with it. And he won't pull you away from me, he'll bring you closer. That's how you'll know it's from me. It will come with clarity, not confusion. With consistency, not excuses. With peace, not pressure. You won't have to wonder. You won't have to guess. Love from me will feel like a safe place, not a storm. And you will finally understand why all the others had to end. Why I closed doors you begged me to open. Why I allowed you to sit in silence when all you wanted was a reply. Because silence speaks too. And sometimes, my silence is louder than your own desire. Let me comfort you. Let me show you what love looks like again. Let me remind you that there's nothing wrong with your heart, only with where it was placed. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not hard to love. You are simply healing from being loved in the wrong way for too long. Give me your sorrow. I can hold it. Give me your questions. I can carry them. Give me the space to restore you fully. You don't have to rush. You don't have to pretend you're okay. I'm not disappointed in your pain. I'm right here, in it with you. Every tear you've cried, I caught it. Every prayer you couldn't say aloud, I heard it anyway. And now, I'm leading you to a new place. A place of rest. A place of real love. A place where you no longer have to guess if you're enough. You'll just know. Because it will feel like home. It will feel like me. You won't feel anxious every time your phone doesn't ring. You won't stay up wondering what you did wrong. You won't shrink to keep someone else comfortable. You will rise. You will glow. You will walk in truth. And when the man I've chosen for you steps into your life, you'll understand why it didn't work with anyone else. Not because you were unworthy, but because you were being prepared. Because you were meant for more. Because you are a daughter of the King, and I will not let anyone treat you like less than royalty. Stay close to me. Let me lead you. I know the way, even when the road feels foggy. I know the timing, even when the wait feels long. I know the ending, even when your heart is stuck in the middle of the story. You are safe here. You are seen. You are still chosen. You are still loved. Let go of what I've removed. It was never meant to stay. Make room for what I'm bringing, and trust, this time, it won't hurt. This time, it won't leave you wondering. This time, it will be love, as I designed it. Whole. True. Gentle. Steady.